Hi, this is going to be the episode, ladies and gentlemen, the Tom Kelly Show episode where you're going to send this to a friend going to college. Loren, since you're a professional announcer, read the podcast description.
Tom Kelly is a stand-up comedian embracing life's adventure. The Tom Kelly Show is a show about life's difficulties and how he comically overcomes them.
Okay, that is not how you do it for Elvis Duran.
No.
You know what? Enough.
Do you want me to...
Enough. Trigger warning. Spoiler alert.
Tom Kelly is fixing lives. Is that better? Is that what you want?
I don't. There's people like just going back to their podcast directory to see what else is up next. They're all hitting the skip podcast button right now.
No.
But you are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show, and this is one you're going to want to forward to a friend.
Yes.
I get sentimental about this every time we hit August when the old calendar comes around. Mm-hmm. It's going away to college season. And I have a niece who's going to college for the first time. My niece Allison, UConn, very proud of her. She's a smart girl. And then, you have that sentimental attachment on top of that where you want to impart some sort of wisdom
always
that will change her life and make her enjoy 4 years. And what's funny is she has some older cousins who call me uncle, and they're also my nieces and nephews. And some loved college, some didn't. And I'm realizing I gave those kids advice too. Maybe I should just not give so much advice anymore. You ever just have that feeling?
What was your advice?
And that will be today the theme of the show. What was your college experience like?
I loved
Was it the best 4 years of your life?
No, I don't. I stand by the fact that like your life should be getting better and better each year. It shouldn't be like, the best 4 years are behind us. I went to Penn State. I had a great time. I had so much fun. I learned a ton. I learned more. I felt like school itself was kind of easy. I think I just learned more about me and growing up, and especially when it comes to like dating and like focusing on myself and my goals and stuff like that.
So, and that's sort of what it was for me. We're in this age now where the price of college has doubled since
I don't even want to
if not tripled
about it.
Yeah. And I have some loved ones who just said, I don't want to pay that much for college.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip it. And I'll tell you where, for me, college, maybe I'm the end of this generation, but I don't know if college did technically train me to do this stuff that we're doing here.
Yeah, me too.
Like nonlinear editing. Special shout out to Professor Mike Kalia, who taught me how to edit on one of the first nonlinear video editing machines ever.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from the extra effort I put into my career in the Mass Comm Center there.
Yeah.
But I found for me, and I don't even know if this is a real experience, I feel like now kids go to college and it's like Club Med. Like right after I graduated, they started putting sushi bars in the cafeteria.
I see, yeah.
Like right after I graduated, the rooms started getting nicer.
I lived in a 2-year-old dorm, but this was like the last 2 years of college. The first 2 years I lived in like the same crappy
So my college was going that way as I was, they were building the new dorms as I was leaving.
Yeah.
And it is when I went in, it was like a prison. They jammed in 3 or 4 people into rooms built for 2 in the 60s.
Yeah.
So for me, I learned, it was I was only 3 hours away from home. And I would say the biggest thing I learned was being 3 hours away from home. One, I think college is a great chance. It's a great place for people who don't have direction.
Yeah. It can also be really overwhelming if you don't have direction.
Well, it can be if you don't take Tom Kelly's advice,
okay.
which is coming up now.
Tell me your advice.
No, and I guess if you have a friend, I always use the expression, show love where love can be shown here at the podcast. If you know somebody going away to college or in the middle of college, maybe you can send this episode to them, tag them, or do whatever it is you do to get these words of wisdom to them. Mm-hmm. For me, I think it's great for people who have direction.
Yeah.
But I also think it's a great place for people who have no direction whatsoever if you take Tom's first and most important piece of advice, which is embrace the adventure. College is the chance. Never again in life will you have a chance to totally do something new for a few weeks or months.
Yes.
And you're smiling.
Well, it's also the kind of place where you're not going to have the chance to do what whatever you want.
But don't just like go partying like
No. No, but I mean more like if you want to take a class about, South Africa from this particular decade, like they have that, you know what I mean? And like you can do it, and presumably you don't have children, and like it's your time to just like give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I went to the opera.
Oh.
Never again, but I went to the opera.
Yes.
Next one, lower your expectations.
About what?
Everything. It's just 4 years. Everybody's like, and I think this is part of what kills college. I don't think I really started liking college until my second semester freshman year.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have left until I joined a club where I found people like myself. But I was ready to leave at the end of freshman year. I also broke my ankle. And so I couldn't go out and do stuff.
There's no easy story with you.
Wait, you don't know this?
I don't know the broken ankle college story.
I broke my ankle freshman year of college, first week back from break. And I ended up, my parents rented me a scooter, like the kind that old grandmas use.
You had a Rascal?
I did. It was a Rascal.
You had a Walmart Rascal?
Yes. And I was desperately in love with this boy, and I would go over to his dorm, and I would
your handicap
on my
scooter,
and I would leave the scooter in the hallway, and so his friends would be like, "Are you hooking up with making out literally?" But are you making out with Scooter Girl?
Well, of course. Well, Scooter Girl or just Scooter? Because Scooter's kind of a cool nickname.
I was Scooter Girl.
Hey, Scoots.
Yeah, they call me Scooter Girl.
I don't know if I like Scooter Girl.
Yeah, I also once got stuck in the snow on my scooter, and I called my dad crying, and I couldn't get up because I would have slipped, and
broken the other ankle.
Yep. And I was on the phone with my dad, and some really sweet guy was like, "Hey, are you stuck? Do you need help?" And I was like, "I do need help," and he pulled me out.
See, I think I had a different college experience because I graduated right before cell phones came out.
Yes, and I graduated before texting was a thing. So it was phones existed, but we weren't texting each other all the time.
Side note, I remember the first time, actually, I'll add that to my list. Resist texting your parents and family. I remember I think the day I grew up was 8 a.m. I overslept for a class. It's now 8:13.
Yeah.
And I had to decide whether to go in or whether to skip it.
Uh-huh. I hope you skipped.
And I probably spent another 4 or 5 minutes outside the class thinking about it, and I went for the class.
Okay.
I did it. And actually, I don't believe, we'll put skipping classes and stuff. I don't know, man. You're paying a lot of money for college. You should soak up every minute of education you get. I do believe that. One thing that screwed me up as a kid.
Yes.
Oh, you're making a face.
Okay, and the only reason I disagree, and it's mainly just because I have always been the kind of kid that did everything by the book, type A, straight A, everything. And I think college was the chance for me to realize that you could skip a class and go watch Saved by the Bell with the dude that you're into, Netflix
with the man who calls you Scooter.
Right. And the world didn't end. I still did well in school. You know what I'm saying? I got to make those decisions myself, and it felt really empowering.
Okay. That I don't even want to argue with you because that's the moral I'm going for.
Yeah, okay.
Is now I believe in go to every class.
No, I do too. I'm not going to tell my kid to skip.
But pause. I'm balancing a little bit of the difference between me and you is I realized at a certain point how much college cost.
Oh.
And I don't think I understood what the value of college was until I realized my dad, who drove a beaten up old car, dad bought one new Volvo at one point, or a 3-year-old used Volvo, and I think the price for the Volvo was $20,000. Mm-hmm. And then I realized my college cost $20,000 a year, if not 25 by the end.
Yep.
And then I kind of realized, wait, Dad could have 4 new cars for the price of sending his idiot son to college.
People are sacrificing for you
Yeah.
if you're fortunate enough to have them help you. Yeah.
And let's shout out Tom and Agatha Kelly yet again. They sent their 2 idiot sons to college with no debt. Idiot sons
But
with no
it's
debt. And they
such
were
a
working class
blessing.
people like your parents.
Yes,
you know,
no, my
teachers,
parents did.
First responders, blah, blah, blah.
Same thing.
They sent their idiot children to honestly, like by today's standards, people would say, he's a D-plus student. Do we really want to send him? And the hard part with me in college is say what you want about college. And this will get to a point later in the list is I tried my best. I earned my 2.75 GPA.
Okay.
So finishing my next, lowering the expectations though. I met a girl who's a bartender at Jones Beach.
Okay.
Field 6. Her name is Kirsten. Pretty girl. I'm flirting with her and then realized, crap, she's a college senior. And she said something about, don't make the face, nothing happens. But she makes a face then when you shift into old guy mode. She was talking about how she couldn't skip second semester senior year to go to a internship or anything because this is supposed to be the best year of college and these are going to be my bridesmaids. And she's not wrong. You know.
Oh no.
And no, don't know her because I had that expectation too. And you don't realize until 20 years later, you don't know who you're going to, it's going to completely surprise you. Who you're talking to 20 years from now, who you're not, who comes in your life, who comes out. Like the 5 guys, out of the 5 guys who I thought would be my best friends for life, one is blatantly not talking to me because I made fun of his July 4th weekend wedding.
Okay.
One drifted inexplicably.
Yeah.
One went away for a while and is now back in big time. And one, I think, either lives in Kansas, either he's intentionally ignoring phone calls or he's going through something. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, it's not all those 5 guys. And then there's another list of 20 guys. I'm like, I didn't think I would ever call that guy on purpose.
That's such a good point. I remember there was a girl named Nicole, and I remember her in my freshman year dorm. And as she was walking out of my door, she's like, you're going to be in my wedding someday, right? And I was like, yeah. And then literally like 3 months later, I want to be like, you're a bitch. Like she was just a terrible person. And so point is, yes, I've made so many friends through college. I'm still very, very close with a lot of people.
Are you close with are you close with the 5 you thought you would be close with 20 years ago?
It wasn't 20 years ago.
It's 15. What does it count? 10, 8, 6?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. The people that I spent the majority of my time with in college.
That you thought. So you're close with the people you thought you would be close with.
Yes,
See,
I still am.
For me, it's all surprises.
But that's awesome, though. But there were people that I assumed I would be close to that I'm not anymore. But most of them, it was like, my two of my closest friends are from college. Yeah. My maid of honor at my wedding was from college, but it's not one of those things where like you're gonna go in and be like, oh my God, we're like best friends forever. Like it ebbs and flows. It's just 4 years.
Yeah, it's just 4 years. Yeah. It's an important formative moment, but it's just 4 years. Chase your darn career, chase the life experiences, and if the friendship is really meant to be, they'll pop back in. Next one. Earn your party. We could keep this one short.
Okay.
This one comes from Gary Gelasso, Emmy Award-winning camera guy from The View and ABC. His line is, forget the FOMO, get the work done. Then when you get the work done, go have a good time on the weekend.
I love it.
Work hard from Sunday to Thursday, and then you can have a good Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
GPA does matter. That's a hard lesson I learned by accident. I'm giving that to some of the communications kids who might be listening.
Okay.
They always tell me, oh, you're a communication student. Your GPA doesn't matter.
Okay.
And that was sort of my approach. I took economics with the hardest professor there was, Dr. Mark Geis. If you're listening, Dr. Geis, and I know you're not, I don't like you. You failed me. I did not fail myself.
Oh my goodness.
I took Italian and got C minuses. I didn't learn to speak Italian for the first 18 years of my life. Senora Gambardella was not going to change that.
Okay.
And in the end, though, I beat it by 1 month. I went from working at Conan O'Brien as an intern to being an NBC page. Had I started the page program 6 months later, they instituted a GPA minimum of 3.0, and I would not have. My whole life never would have happened. I mean, you talk about destiny that I got in right under the razor.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's the big regret is, do I now need to apologize? Do I now need to apply to jobs saying it's a 2.75, but I challenged myself and worked hard, which I did.
I don't think anybody in this stage of the game cares what our GPA was at that time. But I think when you first get out of college, it's really important, unfortunately.
It matters enough, people. It matters enough.
I agree.
And then the last big one before I go to all the random pieces of advice, this comes from my second cousin, Katie Gorski, who is quoting her grandmother, my dad's cousin, Peggy. And cousin Peggy, who's an Irish immigrant, came over on the boat. One of the last people to come over on the boat in the late 60s or 70s. And the argument was, you didn't come over on a boat, you came over on a cruise. But, because they were nice boats by then. But her line was, know who you are.
That's so hard.
And I think that's the one I'm going to give my niece as if I came up with it, which is at the end of the day, you know what your morals are deep down.
Yeah.
And you're surrounded by temptation to be somebody else. You know, you're surrounded by temptation to do things that are not true to who you are.
Yes.
You're surrounded to hook up with guys who will take advantage of the fact that you are immobilized in a scooter. Whatever it is, know who you are.
That's a really good one, and it's really hard to do. And I'll say this especially as someone who I never drank in high school. I didn't drink in college until after I broke my ankle, because at that point I was like, well, dumb stuff happens when you're sober or not, so let's just go for it. But it was hard, I think, to sort of be that person. I never smoked weed. I wasn't into that kind of stuff, and I was friends with people that would, and there was a lot of temptation, I think, to do the thing just because they're doing it or whatever. And I just always somehow, and looking back on it, I remember how hard it was in certain situations, but I always just stuck to what I was comfortable with. And I'm so grateful I did. And I truly pray that I can pass that along to our daughter. Because it's a really tough thing to do. Yes, you should try new things. And but
maybe heroin isn't one of them.
But if you're not comfortable with it, find the friends that are okay with you not being comfortable with it. Dude, I didn't sleep with anybody till I was 25. But the guys that I was dating or whatever, they were wonderful people. I surrounded myself with people that I remember waking up. I won't say where, but I remember waking up in one of my guy friends' beds, and I was I had underwear on, but I think I had, I don't know, I think I had a t-shirt on, and I remember just thinking oh my God, what did I do? And then I was oh, I know exactly who I am. I know exactly who I'm with. I know where I am. I surrounded myself with good people because I trusted them, and I was very grateful for that.
I like that one too. Surround yourself with good people, and that may take a little work.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I got really lucky. Yeah, I really did. Yeah, I got really serious there for a second. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
I think that's what we're going for here.
Can you tell I have a daughter?
Yeah. So I'm going to do a speed round of advice from our Facebook friends.
Do it.
Facebook.com/TomKellyShow. We asked, what advice do you have for someone going away to and entering their freshman year of college? Diana, 3/4 study, 1/4 fun equals success.
Good.
Ask for help if you need to. That's a big one that pops up a lot on this. Yeah. You don't need all of your winter sweaters your first weekend there, says Kristen Barbera.
That is very true. Swap them out later.
My dad told me that college was my second childhood and I should have a good time. I did, says R.C. Smith.
You know what my mom told me?
What?
Quote, your father and I don't want you working your ass off in college. Her point was, I kind of was I have to do perfect and get straight. And she's you're there to enjoy yourself too.
I'll give you that. Yeah. That's actually, I'm surprised a mom would say that.
Yeah, but I was a very...
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah,
You know.
the more I get to know you, the more I can tell.
Yeah.
A tall glass of water is your best friend,
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
When doors open, walk through them. You never know what is on the other side.
Okay.
Don't go home on the weekends, at least for the first month or so.
That's hard, but yes.
And if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, break up with them before school starts.
I agree with that entirely.
That is from my friend Ryan Kuna, who was a commuter. No, he lived on campus. Yeah, that's a powerful one. Let's speed through some of these. Go to class and don't miss deadlines. You could be dumb as rocks, but if you do those things, you'll get through. I'm living proof, Cecil Riley. Ask for help if you need it, Lisa. Just show up. See, that's my thing, is just show up every single day, even if you fall asleep in class. However, Justin Lewis, who sent me that piece of advice, Professor Mark Geis did fail me, even though I was just showing up at the very end. And then this is an interesting one. This one might be a whole different show. It's your rebranding phase.
I've heard that. Yeah.
High school doesn't define you. Get involved, go to school-sponsored events, meet people who are different than you,
Yes.
network, have fun, and work hard. Matt St. Pierre, who is a church friend of mine who I never saw again after probably junior year of college. I have a friend, this is probably a whole thing. Did you rebrand at all? I doubled down on my brand.
No, I don't think I rebranded. I loosened up a lot, but I wouldn't say I rebranded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend who changed her name in college, or changed the pronunciation of her name.
Oh, yeah.
I have a second friend who was a guy, he's a nuclear physicist now. I Googled him. Matt Fortunato, and he was always Matt Fortunato, and he started using his first name Evan.
Oh, yeah.
Which was sort of weird. But then again, he became a very rich nuclear physicist. God bless him.
Yeah.
And then you're right. I don't know anybody who really changed their looks or anything, but I think it's a chance to decide your brand. You're definitely not a victim of whoever you were.
No, definitely not. No, it's a chance for you to get more comfortable. I think that I got more comfortable with myself. That's what we should all be doing, is understanding who we are, what makes us tick, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the one piece of advice I'd give my niece and anybody who's listening about to go to college, if you follow my initial advice, which is lower your expectations, it is the beginning of the human adventure, where you can truly, it's sort of weird. I opened myself up to and tried things that wound up being little seeds that affected me in different ways. And I took jobs that I never thought I would take, that led to some friends and interesting experiences. Some of the experiences I would love to double down on, and some of the experiences I would never, ever do again.
Yeah.
But if you have no direction, the cool thing about college is you can at least try things and get ideas from other people.
You can. And speaking of other people, and I think your friend St. Pierre mentioned this, meet people that are different from you.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound condescending, and please hear me out while I say this. When you grow up and you stay in the same place and you never leave the general area that you grew up in, you begin to think that the world is just as it is where you're from. Mm-hmm. And when you are able to, and I'm not even saying you have to travel, but when you go to different places and you meet different people from different walks of life, and that's the important part, you start to understand that your world is so small, and empathy is important, and understanding that other people have different opinions because of the way that they grew up. It makes you, I think, a much stronger person, and understanding that we can all have these different opinions, and we understand why. We respect that reason why.
I love that. You're right. In college, we became friends with the Korean foreign exchange student who got drafted for the Korean Army, which was just such a real thing in the middle of Fratville, USA.
Right.
That was a very human and new experience.
There was one person that was in a group that I was in, and he used a very derogatory term for our other friend who's in the group, who was Hispanic, and we literally had like this huge conversation about like, do we quote unquote cancel this person and kick them out? Like we had to really sit down and understand like, this is where this person's from. And he genuinely had no idea that that was a derogatory term. It was something that was just used in his daily life over and over and over again. And I'm not saying we should just be like, okay with that.
No. But did he grow from the experience?
He did. And I think that was just one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, there are people that grow up realizing, like, not knowing that, like, that's not okay.
Building on what you just said, and maybe this is you can always go back home. Like,
yes.
And I think whereas what you hope during the college window is your folks are healthy.
Yeah.
The people at home are going to be there. You're essential. The foundations of your friend circle will still be there.
Yeah, will still stay.
And I'm going to clean up a piece of advice a friend Ray Forey gave me, which was I was deciding at the end of college whether or not to take an internship or take a well-paying job on Long Island or go do the NBC Page program in New York City. Mm-hmm. And his line was, Tom, Long Island is someplace where you're from. It is not your fault. You were born there. And I'd be very disappointed if you wound up there. You can always go back later. And let's clean that up, because that was pretty mean, and he gets mad that I quote him in that exact sense. But you're right. You can always go back home.
Dude, I'm trying to buy a house in the town that I grew up in. Never thought a day in my life I would be back where I started.
Yeah.
But I've done so much in between that I now want to provide what my parents provided me to my daughter. You can always go home.
I don't know if I've learned in this experience rambling, but thank you for sharing it with me.
We got deep. Thank you.
We got deep. I don't think we meant to get deep.
No.
And then, I think I was looking for other things like Febreze will keep the residential assistants away.
I mean, Febreze is good.
All right, folks, listen. Share this episode with somebody going off to college or somebody who's sentimental about college. We'll keep this short, people. New shows every Monday and Wednesday on Spotify and Apple and iHeart and all of those things. And then YouTube every Sunday night and Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. We play the show live and people talk in the chat room. Make friends with each other if you want. But until next time, folks, comment, like, share, show love where love can be shown. And until next time, good night, Hamden.